favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
Hello, everyone. This is the Source Seeker Hour. My name is Pamela Hicks. I'm here with Baruti Call Alexander, my co-host today, and the president and founder of the Source Seeker Hour here on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station worldwide. Let me give you a little background on the Source Seeker Hour. We discuss issues, current events, what is relevant to the society, to our society here here now, and so also in the past, whatever occurred in the past. We pride ourselves on honesty, being as honest as we can, truthfulness, and courageous talk. So our theme today is, why are black girls being suspended at a higher rate than the black boys in middle school, particularly middle schools? Our guest is former principal Geraldine Cox and Miss Arnetta Murray. So before we start, can you introduce yourself, Miss Cox?
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. I'm Geraldine Russ Cox. I'm a former principal in 3 districts throughout 3 states. I'm working with young girls on mentorship at the current time and encourage you to join us in that journey. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, Miss Murray, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Arnetta Hicks Murray. I am a special ed teacher and current councilwoman, first black African American at the City of Iowa Colony. Ran for Missouri County Commissioner, first black, and lost, but still. I think my greatest moments are my 5 kids, ages from 27 to 20, and being a choir director at the Windsor Village United Methodist Church, where Kirby John Caldwell is my pastor.
Wow, didn't know that. Awesome. Okay. I was at Windsor Village for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yes. All right. So, we're going to start off. What's the reasons the black girls are being suspended at such a high rate? I know we started just right off.
Just hit with it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's several reasons that the literature says. We're going to talk about the literature a little bit, and then we're going to talk about what the reality really is. Part of the things that attribute to the high rate, and it's not just higher than African American boys. African American girls throughout this country are suspended at 8 times the rate of any other ethnicity.
Correct.
Some of the reasons: poverty, social emotional concerns, the inability to develop relationships with the persons that are guiding them in school. Black girls are viewed less innocent early on than other ethnicities of children. Therefore, they're treated more like adults at an earlier age. African American girls really do assume adult roles sooner than other ethnicities of children. And sometimes they just simply forget to code switch. You know what I'm talking about when I say code switching?
No, I do
We
not.
have girlfriend talk at home, and we can have that girlfriend talk, and you know what to say to your friends, etc. But when you come to school, that talk needs to end, and then you do not address an adult in that same manner. No one's told them about code switching early on. And some of the things are things that we do ourselves. So we can't make excuses, but those are reasons that actually exist for African American girls,
Wow.
in my opinion. And the literature supports some of this.
Wow.
And you're absolutely right. I did my research as well. It said that as well about the African American girls 6 times more quicker getting in trouble than white girls. And I guess being at the grassroots, looking at these girls in my class, I'm there at campus where we see the girls. I don't have to look at the literature. I can experience it firsthand. They're dealing with a lot of adverse situations that when we were their age, we wasn't experiencing. They don't have an outlet, and a lot of times they just overlook, because typically if you look at the behavior issues, they focus more on the black boys, whereas not focused on the black girls. If you look at the school that we're at, they're more African American males that they're focusing on in behavior and trying to make different types of rehabilitation stance as opposed to the black girls. So what do? We can talk about the problem. How do we fix it? Well, what I've learned even at my school with the black girls, you have to talk to them and let them express themselves. And again, let's look at a lot of them come from parents that are young. And so their parents really haven't been able to, if you will, bridge that connectivity in a relationship type form. So there are a lot of issues you have to, and a lot of times you got to get them involved in mentoring. You got to get them involved. To me personally, in church, you got to get them involved. I look at, because we can talk about the problem, we got to get some solutions. And what I see, even at the school that we work at, they just want to be listened to. They want to be heard, and nobody's doing that. They're talking about how they're a problem, and yes, they're being overlooked. But how do we stop that? This, being suspended. They're very, very. Some of the girls are very, what I found very rude, disrespectful. But they're rude and disrespectful at home.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, as the single father of 2 girls,
Yep.
now 18 and 15, there have been many times when my hand just went up automatically. My 18-year-old, and excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about my voice. If you've listened to us before, you know that my voice is not normally like this, but I'm fighting a little cold. But let me get back to my daughter. She's about 4 or 5 and tries to be the biggest bully in the world. And one thing I try to tell them and talk to them about is, girl, you can catch more flies with honey. If you learn your power as a young lady is different than a boy's power, but it's just as powerful.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to teach them that. So I just wanted to interject that as the only man here right now. Now, my 15-year-old,
We're glad you.
she uses a whole different approach. Her approach is to bat her eyes and talk nice, and I have to say, sometimes she gets a whole lot more than my other one. So we got 2 conflicting strategies, but
we
I
can't
love them
teach-
both.
I'm glad to hear that. But I do not want girls to get into the servitude mode. That's one thing I don't encourage. I have a daughter that is now 39 years old, and we did all of our battles. We did many of our battles many times about how you present yourself and how you support yourself. So let me just say something. There is an issue with the poverty issue, but it doesn't matter. Even African American girls in high-end schools that come from middle class and upper middle class homes are treated in the same manner if they're not careful, because people think we're monolithic. And when someone has, this is the perception we have of you, and you question, and that's where my daughter would get in trouble. She knew her rights, and she would, she's taught to be respectful, but she would say, well, I'm not sure I understand, and can you explain to me? Well, whenever you're having an issue with an adult that thinks they're in charge and they're correct, and they're not willing to listen, and they don't have the correct relationship, then it's just, go on down there. And then I would have to come in and intervene, and I used to say to her, you will stand your ground, and I'm scared to say that in this society now, but you will do it in a respectful manner. And I always taught everything that happens, you have 3 questions, because I was brought up that way. What are your 3 questions that you need to ask to get that thing addressed? My father taught me that. 3 reasons for everything, and one of them can't be because my friends are doing it or because I want to. She had to be able to think. All of my children, I have 2 sons and I have a daughter. I pass that on to my granddaughters. But people get intimidated when you're confident in yourself. And girls of poverty that are confident in themselves sometimes are so confident they speak out in a manner that really curls their toes. Now, I work in 6 different schools, so I talked to these kids just this week. I just wanted to hear what they thought about it. And I talked to Hispanic girls, and I talked to black girls, talked to black boys, and I talked to Hispanic boys, because those are the kids I'm engaging with. And it was interesting to take. Social media has become so prominent in these children's lives, and the nonsense that they're seeing on there that's acceptable, and they want to be like these people. So you see, that's why people can come to school in pajamas now. Did you see where the principal had to tell our mother, no, you can't come in my school like that?
She goes to my church.
Okay, and I was in a school yesterday and a lady had on a t-shirt, and I thought there was nothing else under it. That's what girls are seeing. That's what they're encountering, and they want to be that way. And let me get you straight. You can't get me straight. You have to tell them that, but you have to stand firm and tell them what it is that they need to do.
All right. Pam, I think we'll take a break for a second and we'll come back in a second. This is the Source Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, #1 internet station in the world. Thank you.
Your favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
This is the Source Seeker Hour here on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. I'm with my co-host who's handling things today, Pamela Ballard Hicks, and we are talking about the rise and suspensions of African American girls. Very powerful subject. Pam, what we got to say about it?
Okay, let us go. We're here today with former Principal Geraldine Cox and also Miss Annetta Murphy. Murray, sorry, thank you. I was too focused on somebody else. Hey, let's change the subject a little bit. Let's talk about, many black girls, they said, are being suspended either for their hair, inappropriate, we no longer straighten our hair. It's more natural, more kinky, more wild. Also, they said that the rate, what contributed to the suspension of black girls is also the angry black female. And the black women or black girls tend to have more attitude than our counterparts, white or Hispanic females. So what do you think about that, Miss Murray?
Well,
is it true?
It depends on who you would ask. And I think and I said this earlier, from a Caucasian point of view, they would think that we have more attitude. But some black women, let's say that some, welcomes that confidence.
I agree.
And so unfortunately, everything that we tend to do, if it's an air of confidence, an air of loving ourselves, it's an attitude. Now, we do have some young girls that have an attitude when it's more of a verbal aggressive abuse type thing. When they're, I have it with students at my school. Yeah, you got an attitude when you're cursing me out. You have an attitude when you got I'm telling you to do something with doing your work, and you just want to throw a chair at me. That's an attitude. But confidence,
violence.
That is violence. But somebody that displays a confidence, that's not an attitude. But again, if you're at a Caucasian school, they're going to think that. And some blacks, it depends on how they were raised. Teachers, you said that, adults may look at that kid as an attitude. It just depends on the person and the relationship. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. I was getting ready to say, it depends on the relationship that a young one has with the adult that they encounter.
Absolutely.
That makes the difference. You can have a kid talking to you and they're just as good as gold, and they can go next door and tear the room apart. The standards are not the same. You have to have level expectations. Kids have to understand, and we're just not teaching that.
Absolutely.
This is school. This is your job. This is how you act in order to maintain your job. Your grades are your pay. We're trying to develop you from beginning to end so that you can be successful in life. There are certain things that you can do, and there are certain things that you can't do, and there are consequences that come with it. But grown black women get caught into say, oh, you have an attitude if you advocate for yourself.
You know what I was at a council meeting. I'm the only black woman at the council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that, you're absolutely right. Now, I can articulate, I'm talking just as positive as I possibly could, stating a fact. This one lady told me, I just cannot believe you changed your mind. She was very harsh. And I said very calmly, if you can change your mind, I can change my mind. I've done the research, and this is the reason why I changed my mind. And the way you're looking is how that Caucasian, because remember, I'm a city councilwoman at an area that they've never had a black. So they perceived me as having an attitude. I didn't have an attitude. I'm stating the facts just as gently, but I need you to understand, I need you to respect what I'm saying. You didn't question anybody else, but you questioned me. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on the relationship. It depends.
But what I just saw from you
Go ahead.
was strength. And strength that, hey, let me make this clear. Now, me being a retired police
Right.
sergeant, I had to make that clear.
Absolutely.
Anytime so I don't know if that's perceived by others as attitude, or me, I perceive it as strength,
Absolutely. You do.
confidence.
But that Caucasian woman did not perceive that when she tried to, you know what I'm saying?
I do understand that, but they're not always just Caucasian women, okay? Other African American women, dependent on where they are in the hierarchy of the job.
Oh, yeah.
If
Absolutely.
I'm here and you're here,
Absolutely.
do we treat you the same? We have been conditioned not to love ourselves, I believe, in a lot of ways, unless you are brought up with those strengths, or unless you get to the point where you read and you know your history and where you're from, and that's part of the thing that we're missing. That's why mentorship is so important. Let's know our history. Let's teach young girls, you were born a queen,
Absolutely.
and these are the things that you are expected to have if you are a queen, and you float just like this. Was Muhammad Ali float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? Watch out, because I'm Muhammad Ali. Okay. Women set the foundation for everything that comes. We give birth to the males. We birth this country. We set the standards. African American women set a lot of standards unknown to them.
Absolutely.
But then they get challenged, and instead of being called assertive, we're called aggressive. Someone of other races can do
what's
the
the
exact
difference?
same thing.
Assertive, aggressive.
Assertive is that you can have a point of view, Mrs. Hicks. You can have a point of view, you can state it, you can stand tall with it, and it's okay. But if someone says you're aggressive, that means you're on the attack. I'm on the attack because I'm telling you. And that's the difference.
So you're saying that white women are considered assertive, and black women
Aggressive.
are called
aggressive.
aggressive.
Many times.
Okay.
I think, we really just got to break it down that a lot of things are legacies from the past histories of Jim Crow, those connotations, those stereotypes, all of those particular things. And there was a time when you would have got slapped back as a black woman or a black man if you spoke up. And on their side and on our side, there are some residue of those particular standpoints. So we still got to fight through all of that. And, some things have changed and other things have not. I just want to interject this. We're always on break. We had a good conversation about the impact of social media in today, and you got to deal with social media. I was telling the story that the biggest fight I had with my daughter was when I tried to take her phone. Oh, it was bad. She didn't give me as much trouble when I tried to take her car as I tried to take her phone. So what's going on with that, and how do we find balance with our young ladies when it relates to that? How do we find balance?
That's our communication tool.
We are in two different worlds with that, and so maybe I'm just too old for that. Because if I told my daughter to give me the telephone, it would have been given, and if it wasn't given, I would have taken it. I would have cut it off, and she would not have gotten it back. It's just that simple. And I'm sure because dads have a different relationship with daughters. I get it. My dad had 4 daughters. Lord have mercy, he had a life that he could not imagine.
Miss Geraldine, I must say, none of your daughters or your kids probably would have ever had a chance to be suspended. Mine was several times.
Oh, mine too.
That's real.
Oh,
I had a
I'm
daughter.
sorry.
I had a daughter that got suspended. Because she was assertive. She was. As a matter of fact, I remember one time my daughter was going to be put out of school, going to be expelled. I said, no, she's not, for fighting on the bus. That's what her principal said to me. And she said to me, because we had an agreement, when you get on the bus, you are to take out a book and you are to read, and you're not to talk or bother anyone. A young lady got up and kept bothering her. Finally threw something and hit her in the back of the head. She got up, went back, and addressed that issue. No one ever stopped her. The bus driver never said a word or anything. That girl hit her. My daughter kind of wiped her up because she had 2 brothers, so she'd been fighting boys for a long time. You know what I mean? I was mad with her, but she's just like, she hit me in my head. I was reading, and if you have the film pool, you will see. I did what you told me, and what you told me didn't work. So then I had to handle it.
And there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong.
And it made me mad, but she handled it, and we had to take care of that. And I was just like, no, you're not going to put her out of school for that.
That sounds like you had a special relationship, a trusting relationship where your daughter wouldn't have lied to you. My daughter had lied to me before.
Right.
And I had to catch her in it several times. And I had to tell her, hey, when you lose your credibility, you've lost a great deal. So I think if we can help our young ladies understand about credibility, about being a person of your word, and what I was talking about is the power of being a female. I'm not a female, but I know when a pretty lady comes in the room and a lot of brothers are talking, we shut up and we look at the pretty lady and we change our tone. We say, hey, how you doing?
You're trying to present yourself as a man.
Hey, how you doing?
But y'all do that. But you do that when a woman comes in here with short pants too.
Absolutely. But
No, it's according to the woman.
I wanted to address the social media because that's very vital. You know what you were saying earlier. Sometimes you have to meet them where they're at.
Exactly.
And that's number one. And I'm saying that because I'm on social media just like my kids are. So there were times that I saw my sons on Twitter, and I do it all, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You got to. You can't not do it. I'm just sorry. And if you don't do it, you're behind the time, period. Because I know some people, my mom is 90 years old and on social media. So, I'm sorry, 88 on social media. So it's vital, number one. Number two, what I would do when my kids would say something inappropriate and it would come on and I would see it, I said, if you're trying to go to college, you don't need that on your page. Delete that. But I wasn't always on their page. It was just when things that wasn't appropriate. Look, you living in the world. It's everybody's child won't do what you say. And that's just the bottom line. I'm real. I'm not in utopia. I'm just real about who I am and what I am. So what I had to do was meet them where they were, get on social media with them, and let's see, okay, you know, but this is not right. You may not want to say that. Let's look at this. I saw that picture. Take that picture off. Why you got that vaping picture on? The vaping, you know what they do? Take that off. That's how I did it. I said, and so, again, you can't take away social media. That's just what it's about. But you can tell them your expectations for the future. That's what I did my boys when they were running track, remember? Mm-hmm. And so before they got in school, I told them, I said, if this college sees this, they're not going to like that. And so
I'm glad you're saying that.
So, yeah.
Our mentorship program, as a matter of fact, October the 17th, Dr. Humphrey from HCC is going to be doing a moderator for us for this topic. People aren't always what they're posted to be.
Oh no.
And we're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to be working with young ladies on what you put out on social media. It does not go away. It is there almost for the rest of your life. If somebody wants to find it and wants to use it against you, it's going to be there. But there's also another side to social media. You can rebrand yourself.
Absolutely.
We have people that are rebranding all of the time and making a change and a difference in their lives through that social media. I think about a young girl, her name is Marley Diaz, 13-year-old girl that wanted to get 1,000 black girl books in school, in middle school. She started that business, and she started it through social media.
Positive
and
part
started
of
getting
social
it.
media.
And so she's everywhere now, and doing very well. So you have to show them the ups and downs. And I'm not trying to tell you I have perfect children. Oh Lord, no. I had to. I come to Jesus meetings every other week, every other day, but we had some clear understandings. I would say to my kids, and you're talking about the trust factor, I would say to my kids, you're going to make mistakes. That's what kids do. And I want you to make them as kids because I don't want you to carry it into your adult world. But what you have to do is, no matter how good, bad, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I don't want to go up to that school and get surprised And if I do, it doesn't matter what else is said. We stop that conversation. I'm going to check you. I'm handling you. And that's how we develop our relationships.
This is the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. We're going to take another break. And we'll be back in a second with our subject, why are black girls being suspended at a higher rate? We'll be back in a second.
Your favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
This is Afro Vibes, the #1 internet station in the world. And this is the Soul Seeker Hour. This is Baruti Carl Alexander with my host, Pamela Ballard Hicks, and she's hosting the show on the rise in black girls being suspended. Y'all excuse my voice. I'm going to turn it over to Pam because I can't talk too much. Thank y'all.
All right, we're going to get back into the discussion. And one of the questions is do you think school suspensions of black girls is the same way that they use special education for black boys, particularly in like the 80s and the 90s? You know, a lot of black young boys were placed in special ed who were who talked back aggressive or spoke out. So they were saying that they needed additional help. And then these special education classes were formed where just a bunch of black males were in it. So do you think the suspension of girls in middle school, black girls in middle school?
That's a thought. It's a thought. Sometimes you don't always know what the intent of a particular action is. Sometimes it's just a reactionary action. We get the attitude and the immediate go-to is, I'm getting you out of here, as opposed to taking the time, because it takes time to develop relationships. It takes time to listen and hear. I mean, I used to have girls that would have terrible attitudes, straight up bad attitudes, and I would just get real close to them and say, you know, wait till we get to my office, and whatever you say in there, you can say whatever you want to, however you want to, and we're going to be okay. But you can't show out in this hallway, because I can't have that. It's a distractor. It's a disruptor. So I don't know. That's a good question, Ms. Hicks. I'm gonna have to really think about it. What do you think?
You know, I was listening about the special ed component. Now, first of all, special ed is really the main course of special ed was learning disability. Mm-hmm. Then they started adding ED and all these emotional disturbance and all that. To find a place, I think, for the student or the African American kid that had behavior issues. Now, when you look at the scope of their behavior issues, nobody had the time to figure out how to deal with it, because you have 20 or 40 kids you got to deal with in first period. You got paperwork, you got lesson plans, so they didn't have the time. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the real scope about what's going on. And then their own parents didn't have the time or the money to take them to counseling because they had issues going on, because sometimes the parents don't know that their own parents have problems. So all of those got to come into play. So when you say about being suspended, or the student and the African American male, that's just what it was almost like a prison pipeline for the boys. And the girls got overlooked because the boys were much more, and I'll be honest, when you think about it, me working at Fort Bend in different schools, a lot of times it was the boys just, going off the Richter scale. Was like 20 boys to 2 girls. You know what I mean? So that being said, in the special ed element, they had to find a place for that ED, emotionally disturbed kid. And guess what? It was that boy that was out of control, didn't have a father, that was angry.
Was he labeled?
Yeah, absolutely. And the label, unfortunately, stuck with them. Well, then, as the boys were doing it, everybody wasn't focusing on the girls until just recently. Then the girls started really rising, let's be honest, and it wasn't because they were confident or they came from a 2-parent home. They were just angry about some things, because let's be real, some of these girls are being molested. Some of these girls have adverse situation. To me, I'm going to be honest with you, we have been poor all our lives. And my mom was poor, and my dad was poor, but they raised me with some type of morals. Parents are not doing that
And
now.
value systems. I
Come
think
on.
that's part of the thing. We have stepped away from that.
Absolutely.
That's true too.
One of the reasons. Yeah.
It can be one of the contributing factors, but we can't make excuses for it.
Not
We
at
just
all.
got to get back in the game. I think there are not enough people that are saying what needs to be said. And when I started out, I said the second thing I said was social emotional issues, and that's across the board.
And
Children,
you have to deal with it.
parents.
You have to deal with it.
We have grandparents now that are so young. I mean,
Absolutely.
they're
You deal
young
with it.
and they have not gotten the core value system that's going
Didn't
on.
we always have those social, psychological factors? I mean,
But
I
it's
mean,
different now.
No,
It's
not.
different.
I agree
don't
it's
think
different,
to
but
the
we
same
always had
hands.
those particular things. Now, I go back to social media, that's changed some things, but we've always been poor. We've always had difficulties with men and women getting along. And we've always had some kids in the society who had some difficulty. They wanted to put me in special ed.
Wow.
Yes, when I was at Rothschild Sterling, I was bad. They wanted to put me in special ed. I hid that from y'all. But I was very smart. I was a 5-star reader, and
Wow.
in
I believe that.
music class, they said whatever you make on the test, that's what you make in the grade. I made a 94. They put up money, 25 cents. Everybody put up money in world history. I won the money because I was the smartest one in there. So it's about applying yourself. What you was talking about the boys, and it goes for the girls too. Yes, Sally Sue has a problem with this aggressive boy and this aggressive girl, and she's already, when I say Sally Sue, I'm talking about that little teacher.
Oh yeah.
Like that, who's scared of the child.
Right.
And first of all, you cannot show fear to these kids and just want to get them out your classroom.
That's right.
And because they can recognize that, they feel that they feel it deep inside, and they feel shunned. They feel, nobody wants them, and so it's about our community coming in and saying we love you.
I was kind of shocked that what really brought this up. I was really shocked. I was doing a training, and that I saw it was on poverty, and I can't remember what the other a part of the training was, and it was showing that particularly these studies came out of Ohio, and I'm not sure what school district this information came out of, but I got another in upstate New York, and that how the girls in middle school doubled the rate of boys, black boys. I'm talking black boys, black girls in middle school. I was shocked, and the word that was used, angry black female, bad attitude, and those, and I'm coming back to that because that's how it was explained. And you and I know it's multiple reasons why
Absolutely.
a situation occurs, or why a girl has an attitude, and you mentioned, it could be just the home life, environmental factors has a lot to do with who we are and who we become and how we even respond to a situation. If we see our mother, we've seen that those
But a
parents.
crippled village is what I'm saying. We had villages, and you're right, we had problems before, but there was a stronger village
Crippled village.
working. Yeah, it's a
Like that.
crippled village because the village doesn't know what it needs to do because the village is so busy trying to be mainstream and what you think somebody else is supposed to do or somebody else is doing. And everybody wants to be, I'm the one. It's me, all about me. So
and
we
a lot
gotta,
of times the village is just trying to survive day by day also, because this world it gets so difficult. You got forces coming here, a lot of pressure on the parents, and sometimes they just say, hey, you do whatever you want to do because I'm just trying to survive.
That's called a crippled village. We have
Okay.
we have to go together, the whole community working together to show the value in your community. Your community, we're the smartest community ever because the people that have to do the work are the creators of the inventions that carries you where you need to be. So we're in the work. We create so much, but nobody recognizes what you're creating and what you're doing And we have to point that out. And you have to show young girls in particular, you are so multifaceted. You do so many things in 1 second. You think real sharp. You got to own it.
Absolutely.
And you got to recognize the qualities that come with it, good, bad, or indifferent, and make that work in your favor. And I'm just not subservient to anyone.
In the 80s, in the 90s, particularly the 90s, I had a village. We had a village but does that village still exist? You said, I don't know if, be honest with you, in the black community, I don't know if we really ever truly had a village. We talk about it, I understand it, but I've seen villages. I just so happen to live across from a family of Asian descent and even of African descent. Their grandparents lived in these homes with them, and in particular the Asian family, they received their grandchildren. And these were elder, they were 80, and they received, and the son, I guess, takes responsibility. That was a village in the home when they were working. And you would see them where it was just me and my husband.
Well, where I came from, my grandmother, she passed when I was young, but we had a whole family unit in the neighborhood. I remember, I'm from a little place where they say Sandy Run, and we used to walk back and forth to school. And this is the other thing, we, as a neighborhood, they would celebrate smartness. Like you were talking about how smart you were. You represented the neighborhood. Oh, you did a good thing. And this is another thing, because I was just talking with my son about this. And I said to him, that dumb jock thing, I don't know where that came about, because back in the day, athletes had to be smart. They had to do their work. Where I came from, they did. They had to have a certain grade point average, and it wasn't given to them. We had the arts in the school. We were a poor community, but they played in the bands. Black boys played in the bands. Black girls played in bands. If you cheerlead, you did this, and you had a well-rounded thing. And then integration occurred for us, and some of that village started slipping.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
but really, you remember?
And that's when it starts.
But I was just in class reunion for 45 years, and I looked at my sister's class reunion. My sisters are 10 to 15 years older than myself. And the valedictorian of her class was also the star basketball player. He was the center, the one in the middle, the center.
But you're talking about different times.
Absolutely, because I am sitting there thinking about grandmothers now, at our age, where a 40-year-old, 30-year-old grandmother, she's not trying to instill, she's trying to get her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. So their focus is not, now that's what we say, we got to deal with reality. They don't want to, and then their daughter, you see all across these young girls with these boyfriends keeping their daughters, and they're killing the kids. Mm-hmm. So it's real.
This hot car syndrome. Yes. I believe that's murder.
But that's just real. And so what I'm saying is, I get it. You're absolutely right what you're saying. But today, that is not what is going on. When you have a 20-year-old got a baby, she let her boyfriend keep the baby, and the baby kills the baby, something is wrong. And it's wrong. How do we deal with that? And so nobody's not infusing morals. They're just saying, I want to live my life. I want to make sure you have a 40-year-old. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to comment on that. I want you to respond to this.
Yes, sir.
I go back to, how can we teach these girls their power? I think it all goes back to that. How can we teach these young ladies their power? Again, a young lady can go into a room of 50 boys and the boys will be quiet. That's powerful.
That's powerful.
How can we teach them to understand? And the same girl she can try to hang with the boys and cuss and so forth, and for a second the boy, he'll start treating her in a different way.
Sure.
Hey, you ain't nobody special. If you talking like that with me, you ain't nobody I want to, have deference to. Mm-hmm. So we have to get the young girls to understand that. And what was you saying about
I was agreeing with what she's saying. You have to have mentorship, but it has to take. I'm just gonna be honest. All these churches, everybody got to be involved. I think she was.
Oh, you can get the church.
But some do have.
No, there are churches that
Yeah.
have, I know the Community of Faith right now is working on a mentorship program that I think is an outstanding program for their boys and their girls. And see, and they're teaching them the things: financial literacy, how to communicate, how to present yourself. And it's a great church to me. And that's I think Bishop Dixon is doing a good job recognizing what needs to be done. But we just have to have more people step to the
You
plate.
talking about James Dixon?
James Dixon, yes, sir.
Ain't
Yes,
that
sir.
Northwest Community Church?
No, it's Community of Faith.
Okay,
Yeah.
the name has changed. or
You
something?
know, I think,
Community of Faith in Acres
Go ahead.
Home.
You tell them no.
you know what, this is honest, I think, you see about 5, we were going down, I think was that 5th Ward, there's 5 black churches on one
Every
block.
corner.
And I think they've sucked the black community dry. And it got to the point that they're not putting back. We're here for 2 reasons on this earth, to praise God and help man.
That's right.
And that's one thing that we have. And the idea that they've sucked the community to the point that you got churches on there, and you got filth and dirt, and you can't get these churches to pick up trash in these communities.
Some churches, let's be honest, and some are not doing their job, but you got to
Okay,
tell them
you
they're
got
not
the
monolithic.
mega churches.
So this is a good
Just
point
like
to, hey, can everybody talk about some kind of organizations, mentorship, different things that can maybe help the young ladies?
I have one. It's called Queen to Queen. One of my daughters is Queen, KWEEN 2TO Queen QUEEN.com. My friend's daughter decided to build that initiative so black girls can start, or black young women can start feeling good about themselves. It's a good program. You ought to check it out. Do the mailings.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderful. Matter of fact, the girl is also, her sister just won Miss Texas. Do you know who Miss Texas is? One black girl named is Clark Foreman. She's the first black woman to be Miss Texas. Check her out. She's amazing. And that's one initiative. And that's, go ahead.
Was that acting like I had to say
Yeah, I
something?
saw it.
So, Dr. Lathan with HISD has started a program called Roses, which I'm a part of, and it is called Resilient Outstanding Sisters Exemplifying Success. It's a mentorship program in schools where underserved schools, where there are children that are there, females, that need that partnership, and it's 3rd grade through 12th grade. We are encouraging women to take 2 hours per month to devote to coming out and mentoring a young girl. That's 30 minutes a week of your time. You can go on the HISD website, pull up the Roses. There's an application there. You can fill it out in less than a minute and commit to helping a young girl becoming better than they were.
So, do I have some volunteers to when my daughter throws her purse at me trying to hit me, to help me or to help her, help me, either one. But I need her to stop throwing her purse at my head so I don't have to. I don't have
Sure,
to
you
bow
can
down.
have a volunteer for that.
Well, I was kind of kidding.
I know you were
She
being a
doing
little
all right.
facetious.
She
You'd
doing
be
all
okay.
right.
It takes time.
This is the Source Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. We thank everybody for joining us. We're going to have another break with our great guests, Miss Arnetta Murray and Miss Geraldine Cox, our co-host Pamela Ballard Hicks.
Yes.
We'll see you in a second. Thank you.
And I think we need to talk about that next.
What's that?
What?
That there are fathers that are single fathers that do need.
This is Afro Vibes, the #1 internet station in the world. And this is the Source Seeker Hour. I'm the Source Seeker, Baruti Carl Alexander. I thank you all very much for joining me. Please excuse my voice. My co-host Pam is going to take over because my voice is bad. But it'll be better one day.
Well, we have one last question. Well, more than one, but how can we fix this? The other question is, how can we solve it? And our girls are no longer, so they can be no longer overlooked. They need help now. How do we solve it? Stop.
Technical problem.
Give me 1 second now. Something happened with the audio a little bit. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
So how do we solve it? Mentorship.
That's what I think.
I think that we need to start reteaching. I'm just gonna be real. No, they ain't gonna like it. We teach these Caucasian schools about how to deal with this. More sensitive. I mean, what you think now?
Teach
that's
ourselves
the
how
problem.
to deal with ourselves and how to love ourselves. I go back to what I was telling my daughter. Hey, learn your power, your value as a young lady. Because you go in there running your mouth to these, because some of the Caucasians don't see you as human.
Absolutely.
So you increase the love for yourself and let that illuminate, and they can't mess with you. That's just my thing.
But then you said this, and I'm listening, and the daughters need to know that. But their mother should have taught them that as well. Where did it go wrong?
The environmental factors. You mentioned it, that the grandmother is 40 and the mother is, maybe
I
20.
hate to tell you this, but since time, there have been young mothers, young grandmothers.
Different kind of
Where
environment.
they had a whole different community.
Different. Totally
I'm telling
different.
you, the community was a stronger community.
But let's be real, because although the television came out in the 30s, there's really not a television went in the home until the 1950s, and it was after the
60s.
Great Depression. And so the television, not everybody, but that's when the television was brought. And so now we got all these images. Of course, that was a big
Right.
problem, but that was then. Now you got, I'm going to speak for my grandson. My grandson was playing Fortnite on the computer.
Fortnite, yeah.
And he loves his Fortnite. He goes, but here's the deal. I said, okay, we're going to stop this Fortnite. Okay, you're going to come in the garage. Because you don't go outside, it's too hot. You go in the garage, and you exercise with me.
Mhm.
You're going to get on the treadmill. Well, what time do I have? Oh, don't worry about it. He brought the phone. Get ready.
That's real.
I said, this is a third. I said, so I had to disconnect, and once they connect with him, I had to teach that. Now, I don't know what he's doing at home, but I disconnected him. Even with the grandbaby's still into dolls, so she'll connect better. But that
Trying
was
to find out what's the matter.
so. What I'm trying to say is basically that how I grew up on the streets. No, I didn't grow up on the streets. I was in the front. We were playing red light, stop light.
Oh yeah, we was outside. Kids
I
are
mean,
outside.
my mother kicked us out. Y'all coming.
Yep.
I mean, that doesn't exist anymore.
Sure does.
The children in
You're being
this.
monolithic. It does for some people.
Who?
It does.
Who?
Some some kids are outside,
Some
but
kids-
it's not like it was when I
It's
grew
so
up.
hot.
Well, you're in Texas.
You ready to start
this
back?
is jumping
Okay.
world. We do
You-
urban
okay.
air.
You in
So I
Texas.
took them to urban air.
Okay,
Doing a good job, thank you.
just give me a thumbs up. This is the Source Seeker Hour. We're back for our last segment with our conversation on the rise of black girls being suspended. As the father of 2 black girls, I really want to know. I'm not sure there's any answers because I automatically almost raised my hand to both my daughters. I have to pull it back. Pam, what you say about that?
Well, one of our last questions is that, we could talk about the problem, but we also got to solve the problem. How do we fix this? How do we solve it, guys? How we can our girls can no longer be overlooked. We got to fix this.
We got to start empowering them. We got to start speaking life to them. We got to start mentorship. We got to make sure that we have the right people to mentor. You just can't have anybody mentoring.
Exactly.
You got to have the right people that believes in dressing appropriately, acting appropriately. You got to do all of that. And
You got to get back to a core value system where you know that you are important.
Mhm.
These are the things that I must do if I want to continue to be successful, if I even want to be successful, you have to. I worked with some girls this week about goal setting. What goal do you have in life? And everybody, of course, wants to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I said, do you know what that means? And what's the journey to making that happen? Don't just say things because other people think it's great. I think that's what Michelle Obama said in her book. She used to want to be, she would say she would want to be this, was it an attorney? A doctor she wanted to be. And she said that because she got a lot of praise about it.
Yes.
And it really wasn't what she wanted to do. And of course we see Michelle Obama doing her craft and she became an attorney, etc. But you have to start establishing soon in a child's life the path to follow. And be honest. Just be honest with kids. Everything is not going to be perfect. Whenever there's a road that you have a bump in the road, what do you do to get over that bump, get around that bump, go through that bump? And it's okay. Because we don't
How
want
do
you
we
to be
get
perfect.
mentors into the school, particularly black females into the school? And
I'm begging. You figure that one out, Ms. Hicks.
I think that's
Go
one of the
online.
ways to solving the problem.
Register.
And let me come in and say this. I think we got to start with our own circle. And when I say circle, I mean you have five babies. That's your circle. I have 3 babies. That's my circle. And then let's say we connect our circles. That's a bigger circle. I think that's how we have to. Me and Pam, we're members of the Brightest Source Group. We have started a circle, and we branch in that circle out. I want to give a plug for the Brightest Source Group. The Brightest Source Group is bringing you the Source Seeker Hour. We're a group that's seeking to do better and improve the community, starting with our own circle. So I think everything improvement has to start within a circle. And if you're trying to improve girls, you bring women who can help them into your circle. If you're trying to help boys, you do the same thing. Athletics, whatever you're trying to do, there's a circle that can brighten that and make it better. That's my belief in everything.
And I want to say this, I made a mistake earlier. It's Queen to Queen by Clark Foreman. That is one of the circles that you want to go to about helping girls have better esteem. Her sister, Chandler Foreman, African American, is Miss Texas. That's another person you want to reach out to and have her maybe come to your school, to churches, to talk. So again, and you have some as well. There's just a lot that we have to continue to
But
do.
how do we do the recruiting process? You know, one thing I
We're
failed
doing it
to
right
see
now.
is
We're doing
that
it right
black
now. If you would-
females, positive black females in the schools, or how do we get them there? And I think that, we always take care of home first, because we were taught about that, and we all can connect. I understand and connect, but how do we help those who don't have the help or the home?
We ain't gonna be able to save everybody, but one
I hate
person
that.
at a
I
time.
hate that.
You got to tell the truth,
It's what-
because if you try to expand beyond your reach, you're not doing any good for anybody.
But what I like what she did for me earlier, she asked me, the councilwoman teacher, to come, I think, in for 30 minutes. And then I quickly said, my time. But you know what? We have to make time. And then-
Exactly.
it's a sacrifice. You got to see,
Absolutely.
just like in voting. I go there because I got
Exactly.
to. If you see a problem and you know your vote is going to count, you'll take your butt out there and vote. It's a problem. It's not an urgency enough for us. And we got to
Exactly.
and we got to make it an urgency by our voices for it.
We have to show up and show out
Right.
and save our girls. We have to show
We got
up.
to save them. That's a good point. You
And we
save
have to
them.
sign them up, because at my school, there are volunteers, but there are none black female.
And we got to go after I just, when you said that, you have a lot of retired people that you might need to go and say, you know what, I need you to come to this school. That's
Absolutely.
retired teachers, principals, 60 on above. You got to
Where
get
the
them
black-
all.
We've got to, okay, that's one avenue. And please don't get me wrong, we do need seasoned people, but we also have got to get young millennials to come in and work with the girls. They have a closer connection with them
Absolutely.
and
agree.
help bridge that gap. That's what one of the ladies was telling me. She's like, we've got to do this because we need a grandparent figure. We need a mother figure. We need a sister figure as well. We all exist.
I agree.
And what do you do within that realm and wrap your arms around these young ladies?
But let's be honest, the millennials, I'm sorry, they're trying to get their own lives in order. They're trying to get, and we do need.
Absolutely.
So you got,
There's
but you got,
But there are some.
There are some.
that are
I'm not
capable.
refuting that.
We're not monolithic.
No, but
So there are some, and if you are one of those some, I'm encouraging you to go to HISD website, look for the Roses program. We are in 31 schools working with young people that need mentors.
And
31 schools, and we have also for the males, it's called Ascending to Men. If there are males out there that are interested, please join that. We need
What
the
is it called
village
again?
and some Ascending to Men.
Ascending. Okay.
Ascending to Men and Roses. Resilient, outstanding sisters exemplifying success. We have a curriculum that we will be working with and developed.
All right.
This is the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. I want to give the ladies give their contact information if they want to give it. Please give that real quick.
Arnetta Murray, you can check me on Facebook, Arnetta Hicks Murray MD, Instagram, Arnetta Murray, Twitter, Arnetta Murray. Check me out. I'll respond.
Ms. Cox?
I'm glad you have all of those connections. Right now, I would like for you to look for us at
Thank you.
Roses. Go to the website. We are at roses.hisd.org. Thank you.
This is the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. Next week will be safety and security for young black men. Kind of goes into what we were saying. The week after that, should prostitution and marijuana be legal? And the week after that will be self-care and self-actualization.
Wow.
So keep listening to the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. We had a great show. We thank our guest, Arnetta Murray. We thank our guest, Geraldine Cox. And we thank you for joining us here on the Soul Seeker Hour. I hope my voice will be better next week. Thank everybody. Listen up. Fired up. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yay!
All right.
All right.
Your favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.